Business etiquettes. Etiquettes are basically manners that we present, or the way we talk, the way we present in a business environment, and how we handle ourselves in various situations. And it varies from country to country depending upon what we do, how we talk in various situations. Hence, it is important that if we are visiting another country or we are receiving other countrymen, we understand the basic etiquettes of that country before the interaction happens. Today we'll cover a general session on basic business etiquette. Some basic rules of etiquette we will see for few business activities, like giving introduction. How does one introduce oneself, and how should the whole thing be when there is a group of people? Telephone calls, a very integral part of business communication. Telephones play a major role even today, and people who are handling telephones necessarily should be formally trained to handle telephones, receiving or sending, whatever it might be. Business dining. In any business environment, invariably a conference or a meeting ends with a dining experience, and when dining happens with businessmen, there are certain etiquettes that one needs to follow, and it varies from country to country, and that needs to be understood, especially if we are visiting some other country. Basic homework needs to be done as far as basic dining is concerned. Interaction with foreign clients. People may come from different countries to our country for business, and there are certain rules. Even when we go, there are certain rules that we need to follow, like if, for example, for Americans are very particular about time, while one can address them by name. Britishers are very formal, and we need to even address them very, very formally. The dresses has to be very, very formal. Then if you look at the French, they are happier talking in their language, and hence we need an interpreter so that the language English can be translated. While the Spanish, Irish, they're pretty casual about, they're not very particular about time. While the Germans are very formal and extremely particular about time. So it varies from country to country, and it is necessary that whenever we are going to each of these countries or we're receiving visitors from these countries, we are also aware of their culture, their etiquettes. Interpersonal business etiquettes. When a business to business happens, what are the few rules that we must keep in mind? Like confidentiality matters, like how we respect people from that company, and so on. Managing customer care. Last but not the least, if we don't manage our customers well, we will be soon out of business. Let's look at giving introduction as one of the basic etiquettes. Introducing yourself. How does one introduce oneself? We can do it either through a card, and that needs to be given in a style that, because the card, respect has to be given to the card. It means you're respecting the organization, and that has your name and designation. Or we introduce ourselves when we shake hands, saying this is my name, and clearly and slowly, so that it registers with the person whom we are talking to. A handshake. Normally in a business environment, handshakes are very common, but in some countries women may not shake hands, but normally a shake hand and saying how do you do and pleased to meet you, and so on. On failing to recall someone's name, you could be in a situation where we are talking, because there are so many names, it's difficult to remember all. In that case, it's good to ask for the business card. In that case, one can remember the card. That is why business cards are exchanged. One, to know the designation and the contact details, as well as to remember the name. So we can either ask for the business card, or we can even say, if you don't mind, may I have your name? Okay, there's nothing wrong with that, because names, we need not say that we've forgotten, but we can surely ask for the name again. How to introduce other persons, that we'll see in detail. The protocols that are used. Let's look at some of them. Normally the senior most people among the visitors or the host team introduce the members of his or her group present there. So the first host will introduce all the people. The practice is that first visitors are introduced to the host, then members of the host groups are introduced. The rule is that we do not introduce a senior to a junior. Instead, we always introduce the lowest ranked person to the highest ranked person. So a junior is introduced to the senior, not the senior to the junior. Telephone etiquettes. One must prepare before calling. For that matter, any call that's being made, one should know, in a business call especially, saying why are we calling, what is our purpose, what and why, how to begin or receive a call, the courteousness, hello, I am so and so, is it a good time to talk to you, hello so and so, I am going to talk about this, can you spare that time to listen to what I have to say. If the call is cut off, it happens very often, telephone lines, all kinds of other disturbances, we call up again and regret the inconvenience caused and again reconnect. Telephone precaution. One must remember that when a telephone call is happening, we do not know who is on the other side. Hence, confidential matters should not be discussed over telephone. If such a thing has to be discussed, one needs to understand and clearly tell them or ask them if they are alone and if they can receive such a message at that point of time. So that's something which we need to be careful about. Common telephone courtesies. May I request you to connect me to so and so person? Will you be free to listen to what I have to say? Please, can I? And so on. It has basic courtesies that are important because we do not know how the person is engaged on the other side. And if you want the person to listen to us, in that case, these courtesies will help. Common telephone courtesies. Make your business calls polite by using words such as please and thank you when you make a request or get something done or completed. Always use the interrogative form for making a request. Could I? May I? Use of direct categorical statement amounts to order. I want to speak to. I want to talk to. I like orders. May I speak to? Can I speak to? That's courteous. Even the statement, I request you to connect me to so and so number or person, is not quite appropriate. May I request you to connect me to so and so person? Sounds much better. Business to business etiquettes. One must remember that when one is representing one's company, one needs to portray as a company's person the goodwill and the good of the company. So there are a few things that one must remember when one is interacting with a person of another company. Firstly, we must display loyalty to the organization we are working for. And how do we do that? By not criticizing one's organization, by defending our colleagues even if a mistake has happened in a previous transaction, but surely helping the person to rectify it. Always speak well of your company and remember that you are part of whatever your company represents. If you want the other person to respect your company, then one must speak well of one's company. Also, talk about the achievements of the company. Be proud of what your company is doing. So share the latest news. So keep abreast of what's happening in your company. Confidential matters. Confidential, that is why it has to be with you and it should not be discussed outside. People may disrespect you if you discuss matters which should not be discussed. Respect hierarchies. Treat all colleagues with respect, and if they are higher in the rank, respect must be given. And even otherwise, when we speak about our colleagues, we must treat them with respect. Similarly, in other organizations, if they visit us or we visit them, We must give respect to the person whom we are meeting, whatever be his rank. Managing customer care, very important from a business standpoint. If business exists, it exists because of the customer. Handle even the poorest customer well, because he is giving you business. Be prompt in your service and supply. Keep all promises, be it quality, quantity or timing. Keep a record of the following for gaining competitive advantage. It is good to have some field factors like number of complaints, number of clients revisiting, how many repeat clients has this business been getting, number of walk-ins every day. If it's a walk-in business, how many of them are walking in and asking for the product. Commitments of our suppliers to help in emergency. One must remember that in business, it's a supply chain. There is a supplier, there is the business service, and there is the customer. So how well the supplier supports the business will help the business do well as far as the customer is concerned. Thank you.